Okay, for Module 2, Lesson 8, it's Tool Strategy, followed with the weekly assessment. Technologists define how they will use AI tools going forward. Pathway overview. In this lesson, you will create a personal AI tool strategy that defines how and when you will use AI in your daily work and in learning. You'll identify which tools fit your goals, design a workflow that makes sense for your role, and assess your readiness to use AI effectively. By the end, you should have a documented plan and a clear understanding of how AI can boost your productivity. The workforce targets are to be able to identify at least 3 AI tools that match your personal or professional goals. Define a workflow that integrates AI tools into your daily routine. Explain how AI tool selection connects to your target role or industry. Create a written strategy document that outlines tool use, frequency, and expected outcomes. Assess your current skill level with AI and set one measurable improvement goal. Evaluate the strengths and limitations of your chosen tools and apply feedback from peers or instructors to refine your tool strategy. Key vocabulary: strategy, workflow, optimization, tool integration, use case, productivity, target role, benchmark, adaptability, and scalability. So for the live build demonstration, what is one task you do every week that feels repetitive or time consuming? So that might be in your coming up with your drafts for your emails and editing them up to the sending them. Or maybe it is scheduling meetings with various groups of people, different agencies, or maybe it is content creation, looking at how AI might help you to complete it faster. Think about a job that you want in the future, or think about your current work. What tools or skills do people in the role in the future that you would have, or your current role, the type of skills that are needed for that job each day? That'll help you in narrowing down which AI tools that you probably need to use in helping you. If you could automate one thing in your life right now, what would it be and why? Name one AI tool you have heard of or used, and what did you like or dislike about it? So probably try to think of one of the new ones you hadn't used before the course, whether for work or personal usage. And what does it mean to have a strategy, and why would having an AI tool strategy be useful? You'll want to know, like, okay, which tools do I usually go to for this task, and that be like in your mind to be almost automatic that this is what I'm going to use when I'm drafting emails, or in my workflow, when am I going to use Grammarly? When does that come in into the process? What tools am I going to use for image generation, and then which tools am I going to use for like editing the images? So you're building out your personal AI tool strategy. You'll choose which AI tools fit your goals, plan how you will use them, and create a workflow that makes them part of your daily routine. By the end of the class, you will have a written strategy document and a clear action plan. So what is a tool strategy? A tool strategy is your personal plan for which AI tools you will use, when you will use them, and why they matter to your goals. So I'm going to use Gemini and ChatGPT. When would I use them? Why they matter for my goals? What time am I going to be using something outside of those? So think of it like a chef preparing a dish. A chef does not use every knife or which is a tool and all the other kitchen tools for every single dish. They pick the right tool for the right job. So sometimes they might be using the French chef knife, sometimes they might be using a paring knife, and then other tools they might be using a mandolin, right? at some point, and they wouldn't use a mandolin for other tasks. Instead, the chef picks the right tool for the right job. Your AI tool strategy would work much the same way. There's going to be certain tools that match in certain situations that aren't best for others, especially if it's a site specifically, if it's an AI tool specifically for image generation, then you're not using it for text generation. We mentioned some of them have their capabilities are fine tuned, and so we said they're not always best suited for something else. And that was also to keep up with if you are working with one where you have your output from one tool going into the other, you have to make sure that they're compatible. Okay, so you can't upload an image or say like a document into one that is not able to handle the image or is not a document AI. So why does the tool strategy matter? Well, you don't want to save a lot of time jumping between tools. You've tested them out earlier before. Once you had your strategy, it should be something that's already a tried and true method that you could go back to. That way, you'll stay focused, save time, and build skills that employers value. It shows that you've been thoughtful about the technologies that you're using. Employers want to hire people who do not just use tools randomly. So, hey, I'm using every AI tool that I could find that's out there. But those who have said, okay, for this task, I've researched, tried out the tools that work best for this. This is what works for me and the time it saves. Here's my strategy of how I implement it. And then you're showing that you've put the planning into act now where you're at the execution phase of any time there's a task to know exactly how to handle it and which AI tools that you're going to use. And then this strategy is going to become part of your professional branding. Like you could put things like on LinkedIn, or where you're, not just an enthusiast, but somebody that's using as a prompt engineer, or saying like AI enabled, like workforce that you have, AI as your either your assistant or it's almost like sidekick, something like that, seeing how you want to work that into branding. So in building this, first you'll need to know what your target role is, okay, or identifying what it currently is if you're using AI for it. So are you training for a specific job like a data analyst, a content creator, or a marketing specialist? Okay, that's going to change which tools probably matter most to you. So a data analyst, for instance, is going to need different tools than a social media manager. Write down your target role or the industry that you're interested in, and then research what tools professionals in that role actually use. This keeps your strategy grounded in reality. Next, make a list of AI tools that you could use. So, based on the ones that popped up that people use, and maybe you see what they said about using them. So, you build out a list for that job or that industry. Include tools that you already know about and tools you want to learn. Okay. You can start marking down which each one does best. So, for example, ChatGPT, especially with writing and brainstorming. Okay. For presentations like building PowerPoints and things outside of PowerPoint, like Canva. Okay. And its AI incorporation would be big at creating presentations. Google's Gemini for research and analysis, or any AI tool that definitely has access. See if it has access to current internet and has access to like current news and things, because not every AI tool is going to have that. You ask it, what's happening in the world today, it might tell you it doesn't have access to live real-time information. Do not feel pressure to use every tool. Instead, focus on just a few that solve the problems that you're working on, and then that way you're able to see how to use them, get over the learning curve, and be able to feel comfortable working with them. Match your top tools to specific tasks that you actually do. If you write a lot, prioritize writing tools. If it's managing data, data tools. If you're creating visuals, prioritize design tools. Be honest about what you actually need versus what sounds cool. Your strategy is stronger when it is focused on tools that save you real time and energy. Write down one or two key use cases for each tool that you use. Then for designing your workflow, a workflow is the order and timing of how you use tools. For example, your workflow might be start your day by checking the email and using an AI summarizer to catch up on your messages. Then spend 1 hour on whatever your main project is with which AI tool that you're going to be using during it, and end your day by reviewing your work with a quality checking tool. Map out your workflow in simple steps, including when you will use each tool, for how long you'll use it, and what you expect to accomplish, and this becomes your daily routine. So this could be broken down by each task that's completed. Like with an hour, it could be down to like the minutes, then you're working on certain things. Or if you generally know this chunk of like a morning session, the task you're doing that day or that week, and what's in the afternoon session. And then you might be using different AI tools in your workflow first thing in the morning that you use at a different time in the day. Set metrics and review cycles. How will you know if your strategy is working? So you'll define some metrics, look at things like, because metrics are measurable outcomes, so you should be able to say, see and note as any time been saved, as the quality of work improved, or the number of tasks have, went up. So we're thinking metrics and measurable outcomes being numbers. For example, you might track how many hours per week you save. So even if you did save 5 minutes because you did one automation that you did every day for that weekday, and it was the same, well, you've already saved 25 minutes that was freed up. And that could be across different tasks, minutes here and there. Some might be seconds here and there, but seeing how it all adds up into like a month's time and compounds. You might see big jumps in things like your writing feedback, how people respond to the outputs that you have. You know that it could impress, managers in your outputs, especially like presentations that you might deliver that you created in like Canva with AI. Um, and also the amount of you'd be able to complete things ahead of schedule too, and something that previously would have taken longer for somebody. So you would be able to be impressive that you completed something ahead of schedule with using AI in the planning and preparation and the execution of a task. And then review whatever your strategy is periodically. If a tool's not working for your needs, replace it, find a different one. Definitely, if your workflow step is slowing you down at any point where you feel that you could do it faster without using AI, then it definitely needs to be adjusted because it should be benefiting you. Notice, treat this like a living thing, okay, that it could change. It's robust, okay, so it's not fixed. So at one point you might completely scrap a new tool might come out that you test and is better, and you might scrap something you previously did. And document and share your strategy. Write your strategy down in a one-page document. Include your target role, your top 3 to 5 tools, a simple workflow diagram or description, and your metrics. Share this document with a peer, instructor, or a mentor and ask for their feedback. Can they understand your plan, and does it make sense for your role? Feedback helps you strengthen your strategy. A documented strategy also shows employers that you are organized and intentional about your professional growth. This would also be great, like if they like it and see the gains from it when it comes to output, just like how templates could be shared and reused with others. Someone else might have there might be multiple in a similar position or role within the company that can use the tools and have a similar workflow, and that be added to like a team. So for your weekly assessment for completing everything in Module 2, review what you've learned so far in the training, answer questions about prompt engineering, tool use, and productivity practices. You'll also reflect on which tools have worked best for you and which areas need more practice. Use this feedback to adjust your learning path moving forward. The goal is steady progress towards AI competency. So for the guided build, you'll open a blank document on your computer. Maybe you're using Google Docs or Microsoft Word. We're already in with your MS Coding Academies in Google, so you can create a Google Doc and title it My AI Tool Strategy and add today's date. In section 1, write your target role or industry in 1 to 2 sentences. So feel free to use this example and then swap out the words that fit your needs. I am interested in becoming a blank. Professionals in this role use AI for blank. In section 2, list 3 to 5 AI tools you will use. For each tool, write its name. So you might write Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, and one sentence explaining what it does best. And then in section 3, create a simple workflow by listing 3 to 5 steps you will follow each day or week. So use this format. It's like step 1, at a certain time, I use this tool to do this. Okay, step 2, it jumped in time to 10 a.m., whatever it is. I use this tool to do this. Make it realistic based on your actual schedule. In section 4, write down 2 metrics you will track. For example, metric 1, time saved per week, or increase in quality feedback from a manager or peers. And write 1 sentence about when you will review the strategy. That'll help keep you accountable. I'm going to review the strategy, say, in 2 weeks, or I'm going to review it in a month. And save your document. And definitely, if you could think of somebody to share it to, or working on similar type role or task to get feedback, somebody that's aware of the project you're working on would probably be better suited to give feedback on this. Then for your lab, review the feedback you received on your AI tool strategy, if applicable. If you did not get feedback, reread your own document and you self-analyze it for anything unclear or unrealistic. Make 3 specific improvements to your strategy document. These could be clarifying a tool description, adjusting your workflow timeline, or adding a second metric to track. So you could use AI in helping you revise your workflow thing by putting in the original strategy and saying, help me clarify this, or if there's anything that could, how it's organized. Are there any other metrics that you could think about tracking, and use AI in that process too. Choose one of your top 3 tools and spend 15 minutes using it for a real task. Take notes on what went smoothly and what was confusing or slow. Based on your hands-on experience, write a short paragraph about whether this tool is still the right choice for your strategy or if you want to swap it for a different tool, and explain your reasoning. Then research one new AI tool that you have not used before. It should relate to your target roles. That's how you could search for it. Decide if this new tool should replace one of your current ones that's in your workflow and in your tool strategy, or if you should keep the current list. Remember, it's a living document, so you're updating as you go when you find new tools that are better suited. And you could create a simple daily or weekly checklist based on your workflow steps. For example, Monday, outline content with ChatGPT. Tuesday, create graphics with Canva AI. Post this checklist somewhere that you will see it. Commit to following your workflow for 1 full week. So once you build this out, if you work the typical work week, you probably want to have it built out and say that you're starting it on a Monday to really be able to analyze it. At the end of the week, track your metrics that you had selected and write a brief reflection on what you learned. This will lead for your portfolio artifact. Certification progress contains problems that you might face with their given solutions. Be sure to read the best practices for this lesson. The reflection journal is going to be more specifically tied to that activity and answering out, and they'll be different based on which tools you used and what you were using it for. So use that as tailored reflections based on the lab work. And that will complete Module 2, Lesson 8, which